Since its launch last year, Apple's iPad has pretty much had the Australian market to itself, with rivals only appearing overseas. That's now set to change, with companies like Samsung finally shipping their own tablets over here, starting with the Galaxy Tab, a 7-inch device running Google's increasingly popular Android operating system. While we've not yet fully put this newcomer through its paces, we've had it for long enough for Choice Computers' Ashton Mills and Steve Duncombe to come to their own conclusions. Here's what they had to say.
This is the Samsung Galaxy Tab. It's the first real competitor to the iPad. It's a 7-inch tablet, a little bit smaller than the iPad, a 1 GHz CPU, half a gig of memory. This particular one has 16 gigs of storage on board. The shape of the Galaxy Tab, and especially the smoother rounded corners, make it a lot easier to hold. Certainly if you're used to e-readers or a book size that you can stick in a handbag and so on. So this is one of the major benefits compared to the iPad, in that it's a little bit bulky when you're trying to hold that and read it on a train compared to just sitting around doing this.
Well, that's what some people might think, but as you can see, I'm having considerable difficulty holding and using it with one hand. Well, not really. But then again, I've got large hands. Sure, it's slightly bigger and maybe slightly heavier, but it is not overly heavy. It's only about half the weight of, say, a netbook. And also you've got that lovely big screen. I find that on the Galaxy Tab, some of the menus tend to be smallish, a little bit on the small side. I tend to hit the wrong thing sometimes, but that's a compromise. I mean, it is also a more pocketable device, easy to put in your handbag or whatever you want.
I guess it comes down to form factor, actually. I mean, yes, you can have a larger screen to browse on the iPad and it's perhaps easy to use, but you're less likely to be able to take that around with you easily compared to something of this size. Something that's worth pointing out, however, though, is that this is a more native 16:9 display compared to the iPad's 4:3. So if you're playing media on this, certainly movies and YouTube videos, it's going to look a lot better on this for size when you can rotate it.
I would disagree with that actually, because although that may be a 16:9 native aspect ratio, when you have your widescreen movies on the iPad, the screen area that you're still viewing is still larger, and it's a very crisp and clear display. So sure, you might get a little bit of letterboxing, which is the black lines at the top and the bottom as you get an extra wide screen there. And it's not filling the screen, but it's still giving you the same size, if not slightly larger, movie viewing than you get on that device.
Unlike the iPad, the Samsung Galaxy does actually have not just one camera but two, which means it can be used for taking photos and videos or as a camera phone, which the iPad can't do. Some of the other differences between the Galaxy Tab and the iPad is expansion. The Galaxy Tab has an SD card slot which can take a 16 or 32 gig card, so you can expand the storage from its default internal 16 to what's up to 48. Granted, you can get a 64 gig iPad, but it's kind of locked in there. I can always take the SD card out of this and move it to another machine, to my computer or to a future tablet with ease, which you can't do with the iPad. And yes, you could, of course, copy everything off with iTunes and copy it back, but you know, iTunes isn't very good anyway.
It's preposterous.
I was going to say, because one of the disadvantages, I think, of the iPad and the Apple ecosystem contained therein is that when you do want to copy other files across to the device, be it PDFs or videos or text files, they are limited to the app that you drop them into. Whereas with this, wherever you put the files are going to be available on the device to any application, which is something that the Apple apps can't do.
Well, it's an important point there, and one that you can transfer drop and drag files via Wi-Fi through those apps that will let you just simply share files directly to the device over wireless networking, or you can plug it in and synchronize. And yes, it does look at the type of file for a particular application, which is good. It simplifies the process. So you're not trying to open files that are incompatible with various applications. Document files, etc., will open with document programs. Music files will open with music programs. Makes the whole user experience a little bit easier.
I mean, if you install VLC on the iPad and you want to play some videos through VLC instead of the iPad's default movie viewer, you have to copy files directly to VLC on the iPad and remain only within VLC. You can't use any other player, so you can have multiple copies of a file on device for each individual app. With here, you copy the file across and any app can access it and play it.
So you want to watch the same movie through different players on the same device?
I'm just saying it's much easier to manage your files on the one device if you have different applications for different file formats.
What I see in the Galaxy Tab when I look at it is potential It's using Android 2.2 or Froyo as they call it at the moment, which is basically treating it like a big smartphone. And
It is a big smartphone.
yeah, it is a big smartphone. It's a bloody big smartphone, to be honest. It's not designed as a full tablet environment yet. Now that's the next version of Android, version 3, Honeycomb,
Yep.
that is designed specifically for a tablet environment, is going to hopefully improve a lot of the things that we find as shortcomings at the moment.
In fact, there are rumours that Honeycomb is going to make Apple wet its pants a little.
Well, many people over the years have tried to make Apple wet its pants, and they've failed miserably. But I welcome the challenge from Android. I think it'd be good to see some pure tablet competition rather than trying to compare a purpose-built tablet device that's integrated and easy to use with a big smartphone.
One of the other advantages I see coming up, of course, though, is that given that Android is from Google, then all of Google's applications will be available for it, and that's a lot of power.
That's good because Google has some fantastic apps, and they're doing a great job of copying what Apple's been doing for some time. On the iPad, you also have, I think at the last count it was well over 300,000 apps available for it, and that's what makes the iOS the system to beat and far ahead of the competitors in terms of the amount of programs and the quality of the programs that are available for it. All of which are screened, don't forget. They're not developed in an environment where it's not consistent. Everything is sort of pre-checked and it just works properly within the environment that you've got here. So once again, it comes down to ease of use for the end user.
But as you said, there's going to be thousands of tablets coming in the coming years, and the majority of them are going to be running Android. Therefore, there's going to be a much larger marketplace for Android in the future. Therefore, more apps are going to be developed faster and better.
That's if people are silly enough to buy those tablets.
Oh, they'll be buying them because Honeycomb so far looks like it beat iOS on the iPad. But of course, we have to wait for the iPad 2 to see.
Well, that's right, because it's not just the iPad 2 that's coming, which is expected to take a cue from other devices in having the front and back cameras.
So wait. Are you saying that Apple's learning from someone else this time and they're going to copy someone else?
What I'm saying is we as far as we know, the rumour has it that there's going to be front and back cameras on the next iPad, but also the new updated iOS is coming, and it's going to have some really slick features.
Look, to be honest, it's very pretty as an interface, and it is easy to use, but it does feel a bit slower than the iPad. This is especially true in browsing through the inbuilt browser, which is about half the speed of the iPad browsing heavy image and Flash sites, although at least it does actually play Flash files, unlike the iPad.
It's an interesting point there, and certainly it does contain Flash. However, it was quite disappointing when you go to certain sites to find that not all Flash sites play well on it. Some are quite stuttery and slow. ABC iView, for instance, seems to play okay once you get it going. The Sydney Morning Herald takes a long time to load and is a bit jerky and stuttery. So just having Flash is not enough. I think the device has got to do more in making that work on all the sites that it goes to.
Yes, and again, that's one of those times when you're using it, it feels like a large smartphone. That the smartphone OS has been shoehorned into a tablet size, and that it feels a little bit lacking in power. One other interesting feature of the Samsung Galaxy Tab is the PDMI port, which is the portable digital media interface. Now, this looks a lot like the Apple connector, but it's actually a little bit different. For one, it's an open standard, and it was first used in the Dell Streak and is now used in the Samsung Galaxy Tab. It supports DisplayPort, HDMI, and USB 3, so it's kind of got all the essential external ports you want in one plug, whereas Apple's iPad is kind of locked down with its own proprietary connector.
One of the interesting things about having the Android operating system on so many different hardware devices is that it's going to limit you in the types of accessories that you can get for it, because while there may be several that come out, or quite a few that come with the 7-inch screen, there are some that are rumoured to be 10-inch screen, etc. In dealing with so many devices, the third-party accessory manufacturers have a real conundrum on their hands. Everyone knows how to make something for this shape and form factor, so they've done so. It'll be harder for manufacturers to redo their accessories in all different shapes, sizes, thinness factors, etc., to cater to the range of Android tablets.
That hasn't stopped phone manufacturers and the people who make accessories for those so far. So variety and designs are there, but I don't think will stop anything once the popular tablets float to the top.
I think anything that's popular out there will get some support. So
Yes,
what's going to be interesting is to see as the year goes on which of the competitors to the iPad becomes a popular alternative.
To be honest, the form factor is decent. It's let down, however, by the operating system. Browsing can be clunky and slow. Flash works, but not always.
Would you buy it?
Probably not right now. I think down the track with the new tablets coming and Honeycomb, there will be much better competitors to the iPad. But for now, it's a good attempt, and it's certainly a sign of what's to come. But it's not quite the iPad killer just yet.
So it's clear that while the Galaxy Tab certainly has a number of features that the current iPad lacks, like expansion, flash support, front and rear cameras, and an arguably more comfortable, more portable form factor, the end-user experience just lacks the fit and finish of Apple's larger device. With the iPad 2 just around the corner and a slew of Honeycomb-based tablets also waiting in the wings, the Galaxy Tab needed to be a better product launched earlier. Sadly, this is not the Android you're looking for.